What would the world be like if social media platforms used their tech, not to distract us, but to empower us, not to dumb us down, but to power us up? If while we are scrolling away our hours, we could be entertained and inspired, we could be celebrated and encouraged, not to consume, but to grow, not to be alone, but to build teams, join communities, live better, work smarter, love harder, collect skills, and achieve all we dream of, what would the world look like? We are about to find out. Experience XLife. The future of social changes everything.
Hi guys, thanks for being here. Today we're going to be sampling some of the content that we're going to be having in our brand new XLife platform. Thanks for being here. So today we have some great speakers talking about some great topics that we're going to talk about what's possible, right, for someone personally and professionally so they can achieve more in life. And today we're going to be talking about how it's possible. And we're going to talk about concepts, that we'll be sampling some of the trainings that we're going to be having on XLife, part of the groups that we have, part of the channels that you're going to be allowed to follow for free and invite your friends to follow for free. To really unlock the potential of everyone around the world. We're really excited about our platform. Later on, I will be actually really talking about the strategy and development behind the platform and how we're going to achieve the results we're aiming for, not only for us, but for every person that will be participating in the platform. So we're going to start today with something so important, which is, how to unlock your growth mindset. So we have someone very special here today, Jon Talarico, who is just a renowned business coach who, is just works with top professionals in the world on unlocking their potential so they can achieve everything that they want to achieve. So, Jon, are you here? All right, so I'll go ahead and give the floor to you, Jon. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Liv. All right, let me make sure you guys can see me. Can you guys see me okay? If you'll let me know. I don't see myself, but that's all right. I see myself enough. There we go. Let me just sound check, mic check. All right, we are good to go. What a great day today. I know the word has been spreading like wildfire. Absolutely beautiful, amazing day today. I'm super excited about what IX Global has in store for all of us, XLife, and what we're going to be talking about today, some of the previews of some of the great stuff that's coming. But first, I think we need to make an acknowledgement here to Joe and all that he has gone through these last 2 months, and Travis and everyone else involved in this frivolous nonsense, right? And so one thing that has stayed the course is Joe and his faith, right? And scripture says, right, we can move, faith can move mountains, and mountains were moved yesterday. That is for sure, right? The greatest definition I ever heard of faith probably is from my mentor and coach, Bob Proctor. He said, faith is the ability to see the invisible, believe in the incredible, and then that enables the believers to receive what the masses think is impossible. And so I know a lot of people, probably some of you on this call today, thought what happened yesterday was impossible, but we've never wavered, right? All of those who know the character, the kind of person that Joe is, the vision that he has, and the mission. So for some of you, welcome back. I think Luke 23 scripture says, right? Forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. So that's a great thing, is that welcome back to the family. And today, what I want to talk about, and I put together a really short presentation for all of you, is how can you create that growth mindset? A lot of us, we talk, and I think I shared last week about it's so important that you have the right attitude, right? Earl Nightingale called it the magic word. If you ever listen to The Strangest Secret. But attitude is, people get those two things confused a lot, right? Attitude is 5% of what goes on. It goes on in your conscious mind. The mindset is the 95% of what is going on in your subconscious programming. And in order to really have a successful life, I believe that you have to master both. But obviously, we want to focus on that 95%. And so let me pull up my slides here, you guys. If you have anything in the chat, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to just go through this. Let me share my screen real quick, everyone. All right. So, and thank you for that introduction, Liv. XLife live today, right? We're going to be previewing some of the amazing stuff. If you have not joined us on our Transformation Tuesday calls, make sure you guys get on there. We've got 52 weeks of teaching, coaching, masterminding that are really going to transform and change your life. And so I believe that if you can master this thing here, you can have whatever you want. You can be, do, and have anything. And I believe that you were here to live a great life, right? You're here to do something great. There is something unique inside of all of you. And so what is going on now is Joe has provided an amazing platform, an amazing opportunity to really transform and change the world. It is, okay, you guys are raising your hand here. I will save a few minutes at the end, or if you could just put the questions into text. Let me just get through this, you guys. I've got a lot of stuff to go over today, a lot of great speakers as well. Now, this is one of my favorite quotes. There is a difference between interest and commitment. A lot of you were interested in IX Global. A lot of you were interested in things that were going on with Debtbox and all of that. But there's a difference between being interested and being committed. He said, when you're interested in something, you do it only when it's convenient. And when you're committed to something, you accept no excuses, only results. That is what has happened the last few weeks, right? 100% commitment. For those of you who were with me and Joe and Rosemary, and the rest of Travis and Bryan and Paul and Liv, actually, and Boomy and Jeff and a bunch of other people, Dalu and Floor flew in, and the Korea team at the corporate retreat mastermind 3 weeks ago, right? We had the world, actually just saw it today, the world's #1 motivational speaker and coach, Ed Milet, come speak to us. That's the kind of opportunity that you won't find anywhere else. That's the kind of opportunity that Joe is bringing you here at IX Global with XLife, because he is committed. He's committed to transforming and changing the world. And so today is about making decisions. Are you in or out, you guys, right? It's time to make a decision, because if you don't make that decision, you're going to keep doing what you've been doing and hoping that you get different results. And we don't want that to happen anymore. We want you to make a decision that you are 100% all in, because what we have in store for you, what Joe has put together with the whole team, Liv and everyone else, is absolutely amazing and transformational. But it takes responsibility. You know, I was very fortunate to be coached and mentored by my dear friend, Bob Proctor. I got to work very closely with Bob. And he always used to tell me, John, one thing, 100% responsibility. 100% responsibility for everything in your life. He said, responsibility is the price for greatness. And over these last few weeks when Joe, he didn't run, he stood right in front of all of you and he said, 100% responsibility for this, and I will get us through this. And that's what he did, right? And so I want you to think for a minute. What is really the one thing that's holding you back? What has been holding you back? Maybe some of you have a lack of clarity of what you should do, how to really present this opportunity, get fully involved, waiting on the sideline to see what was going to happen. Maybe some of you feel you don't have the network or environment to be successful. Some of you are lacking accountability and support. And then the biggest one, the one that we're going to talk about today, is that mindset, limiting beliefs, lack of self-confidence, maybe feeling a little bit undervalued, unworthy, unappreciated. So guess what XLife does? Guess what Joe has done? He's built a platform that actually addresses all 4 of these. Lack of clarity, you've got some amazing leaders, some people who have been in this industry. Bryan Rivera, who's been doing this for a very long time. Cedric, Travis, Paul, all kinds of top leaders from all over the world. The environment, you couldn't be in a greater place, right? This is an environment, a network of like-minded people, but not just like-minded people. He's actually bringing other people that are going to elevate and push us, all of us, to be stronger, to be better. And then accountability and support. You've got calls each and every week, numerous ones of them. We have our Transformation Tuesday call. You want accountability and support? Get on that call on Tuesdays. And then today, I want to talk to you about the main piece. Mindset is everything. It is 95% of what is going to guarantee you your success. All right, but you have to begin to think differently, because your thinking has got you the results up until now, right? It's not Joe, it's not IX, it's not anything else. It is your thinking has got you the results that you've gotten and received up until now. And you will never go further than you truly believe you can go. So what do we have to do? You have to change your thinking. You have to think differently. Emerson said the mind once stretched by a new idea, and that's what you're going to get here today. And with the launch of IX Global 2.0, a new idea never returns to its original dimensions. There's no looking back, full steam ahead, right? And that's what we're doing. So there are two types of mindset. And for those of you who, I always am a big proponent of lifelong learning, right? For those of you who have not gotten this book, you want to add this to your library. Carol Dweck, she's a professor, world-renowned Stanford University psychologist. She really created and coined these two phrases here, right? The growth mindset and the fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is really a limiting one. It's limiting your ability. It's you're either good, you have the skills, or you don't, right? You don't like to be challenged. You don't like to be pushed. You think that it's already predetermined if you're going to be successful or not. When you get frustrated, right, you give up. When things start to happen, external circumstances, like what's been going on the last few weeks, you give up, right? Well, it wasn't meant to be. Here we go again, right? And you stick to what you know. Now, where we want to go with IX Global 2.0 is in that growth mindset. It is failure is an opportunity to grow. It's not even an option, right? Because we understand that failures are just lessons. These challenges will help you grow. Feedback is constructive and you like to try new things, right? And you're inspired by the success of others. We're all here to help each other out. There is no competition here. The only one you should be competing with is a better version of yourself each and every day. Now, the fixed mindset is believing that your qualities are set in stone. That no matter what happens, you have been born into this life with these certain set of qualities. And it creates an urgency to prove yourself over and over that you can only have a certain amount of intelligence, a certain amount of personality. I'm an introvert, right? I can't go share opportunities with people because I don't like speaking. I don't have the skills. I don't have the connections, and a certain amount of moral character. Then you better prove that you have a healthy dose of them. It simply wouldn't do well to look deficient in most of these very basic characteristics, right? And so we try just to do just enough to get by. Now, the growth mindset, in this mindset, the hand you're dealt with is what? It's a beginning. It's the starting point for your personal development. It's a starting point for your journey of success. It's based on the belief that you have these basic qualities and that you can actually cultivate, that you can grow through your efforts. That people are different. All of you, every one of you is very unique. And I believe that you all have one unique thing that you do better than anyone else on the planet, right? So in addition to your initial talents and aptitudes and interests and temperaments, you can change and grow through what? I like to say repetition, application, understanding, based on what? Based on knowledge, based on the right kind of knowledge, the right kind of information, and then doing the exercises, right? Changing your thinking, starting to feel and act in a different way is going to get you the different results. So when you come to these challenges in life, I look at them as opportunities. I know Joe saw this as an opportunity for him to grow this last few weeks, right? But this challenge that was offered here, people with a fixed mindset, what would they do? They would have run. They would have caved in. They would have just given up, right? They avoid challenges because it makes them feel like they're not smart enough or they're not talented. They lose interest when the work gets hard and then they give up easily. That's why the majority of people, 98% of people, drift through life, just kind of going through the motions, right? Tiptoeing to the end, hoping they don't ever wake up their goals or dreams. And then there's with the growth mindset, when challenges arise, they look at those as opportunities. How can I be better? What can I learn from this? What are some things I didn't think of? How can I use my mental faculties to deal with these challenges? And they thrive on it. They want to stretch themselves because they know that they will grow and learn. Yes, it's been hard. Yes, it's been challenging over these last few weeks, but they also remember that this is part of the journey of life and we're here to have fun. And that's what is so exciting about 2.0 is that, yes, it will be hard, but guess what? You've got a support group. You've got a team that is right there with you in the trenches. And we're going to have a great time doing it, you guys. I had a wonderful, amazing time. We had a ton of fun over the course of those 4 days over in Utah a few weeks ago. Now, when we get setbacks, what happens? For those of you who have a fixed mindset, you're going to let one setback, one bad meeting, one bad sales pitch, right? Or outcome determine your life forever. And you're going to use that as a way to measure your basic intelligence and ability. In other words, well, I don't have what it takes. Somehow people at the top, somebody like a Bryan or a Travis, they've got something that you don't. And that's why you go out and you try to prove yourself over and over and over again. And that's just it's a vicious cycle. Now, if you have a growth mindset, you know that you cannot let one single outcome ever define your ability and, more importantly, your potential. You look at a setback as a single point in time, right? You gather and understand that there is a lesson to be learned. You harvest the good and forgive all the rest. And you don't ever let it define your intelligence. Not even the most brilliant scientist can define how powerful your mind truly is. Your abilities. You're capable of doing anything that you want, right? Or your character. One thing since the day I met this guy, Joe Martinez, is that I knew from the moment we met, this man had a character, an integrity, a heart about him that was, something very rare. I love this. When NASA selects their astronauts, they reject people with pure histories of success. They don't want those people. They want people who know what it's like. And for those of you, and all of you should know and hear, and probably have heard Joe's story. He has bounced back not once, not twice, not 3 times, multiple times, over and over and over again. And he has persevered. He has that growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset, they believe that success should be won without effort. They want that quick fix, right? They want the drive-through to success, right? Just speak it into the speaker and drive up to the window and pick it up, right? They think that you're born with natural talents and abilities, and if you don't achieve something effortlessly, then you're not a natural, right? They look at other people and they say, well, he's a natural athlete, or he's a natural singer, or he's a natural spokesperson or coach or motivational speaker. And if you fail, it's just because you're not the best. It's all been wasted, right? The hard work and big effort are risky, and they're terrifying, and they allow fear to consume them. They allow fear to run their life. They live from the outside in. That people who do great things are not supposed to need a lot of effort. And if you fail, well, then that means all your hard work is going to be wasted. Now, those with the growth mindset believe the exact opposite. You have to work hard in order to achieve success. And what I've come to learn is actually you can work smarter. You don't necessarily have to work harder. But when you develop an understanding of how there is a science and art to goal achievement, and not just goal achievement, but goal creation, that everything works by law. The hard work, I believe, is in developing and understanding the right kind of mindset. And then you can come to understand, as you get more exposed, that you can do it the effortless way, right? I love Neville Goddard's book, The Power of Awareness. He talks about the effortless way. You can make quantum leaps in your life, right? You could go from whatever rank you're at now to the top rank in this company by the end of the year, if not sooner. Other people have done it. Why not you? And so for growth-minded people, their work is meaningful. Why? Because they apply themselves. They have a passion. They have that burning desire that Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich, chapter 1, where it all begins, right? Desire is the starting point for all riches. If you don't have a goal right now, you guys, I want you after this call today to make sure that you sit down and write out your goal. Talking business, right? You should have a personal goal. You should have a business and professional goal. Write out your goal. It's also about the journey. They understand that it's part of the process. Otherwise, you're just living in a very familiar past and a very predictable future, right? And so if the outcome is not a success, they still feel the effort was a reward, because life is a school that never ends, and we are continually learning lessons. People with a growth mindset stretch themselves. You saw Joe, I saw him post it right now, I just saw something pop up before this call, you guys, $100 million in 90 days, right? Those people with a fixed mindset, oh, that's not Bob, all this negativity nonsense, right? But Joe has that growth mindset, and that's what he wants for all of you. 100 million or more in excess in the next 90 days. Now, I want you to just take a look at this chart here, and if you can just take a look of this, intelligence on the growth mindset side can be developed, right? You can learn skills, and that's what is so great about the platform that IX Global is providing. It is giving you the skills, the life skills to be an entrepreneur, to be a trader, to be whatever you want, a business owner, whatever you want. He's making sure that in this platform, you're going to have the skills, the tools, the trainings that you need to have all of that stuff. Now, the fixed mindset people, they're going to fall away because they won't want to be part of this. They've already left, most of them. Some of you with a fixed mindset said, hey, okay, saw the news yesterday, so I'm back today. And all right, so welcome back. And now we want to push you to transform and change to that growth mindset. No more giving up. No more sitting on the sidelines. No more worrying about what other people have to say. No more living by what's going on in your environment, the conditioning from outside circumstances or situations. We want to embrace challenges. We want to say, okay, I'm all in, 100%. Right? And get moving. Take massive daily action. Now, the keys, how do we develop this growth mindset? I want you guys to write this down. Understand and believe in change. It's the only constant in the world, right? Change is inevitable, but personal growth, a growth mindset, is a choice. Make a choice right now. Choose, all of you. And I want you to put in the chat, you guys, right now. I want to see everyone on this call put the word choice. Put the word choice in the chat right now. If you are serious about moving forward with 2.0, I want to see that chat. It better blow up, you guys. There we go. Lily, let's go, Ranveer. Keep going. I know my friends over there in India, you guys can turn off the cricket for a minute. India's not playing yet. There we go. And that's what I love about what IX Global is doing. This is people from all over the world. I love it. Keep going, you guys. I want to see them all. Let's go, Manoj, Vijay, Shiva. We got some friends even from Italy over there. We've got India, Peru, Mexico, Canada. Awesome. I love it, you guys. For that one person who seemed to make that comment, you know where to find the exit, right? Because we're not interested. And that you stay in that fixed mindset because we're moving forward, all right? And so here we are. Let's go. So how can we develop and create that growth mindset? Understand and believe in change. You can develop skills and abilities to learn how to set and achieve any goal you want. And it all starts with two things, right? Asking yourself, am I able? Absolutely. In IX Global, everyone is able. Everyone is able to reach that top rank. The second question is, am I willing to do what it takes? Am I willing to show up for these calls? Am I willing to watch the lessons? Am I willing to invest in programs and study and read? I'm reading a great book right now, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Are you willing to do the work? And that's what separates the people who will achieve success from those who will not. The second thing is embrace challenges. Instead of avoiding it, challenge yourself. Set a goal right now, just like Joe did, right? For the next 90 days. Set a goal, whatever income goal it is, whatever rank goal it is for you. Don't go after what you think you can get. Go after what you truly, really want. The third thing is persistent effort is the key. If you don't have an accountability partner right now, you guys, I would encourage everybody to get one, even if it's a text saying I did the work today. The key to success is developing that repetition of a daily success ritual, a plan. It should start with prayer, meditation, gratitude. All of you should write out your gratitude list each and every day. 10 people or things you're grateful for. And then study. You've got all kinds of great stuff inside of the platform right now to study, to develop your skills, to develop your mindset. But you have to be consistent. You have to be persistent. Accountability really is your insurance policy to success. So get an accountability partner. Even when you don't feel like doing the work, you let them know, I'm not in the mood today. And that accountability partner is going to tell you, I feel you, I hear you, I was that way anyway, yesterday, and I still did it. Number 4 is learn from criticism, feedback. For those of you who come on my calls on Tuesday, it's not pleasant for some people, right? Because I'll call you out. Why? Because somebody called me out. Because I needed somebody to recognize my old programming and the paradigms that were keeping me stuck. And so what we want to do is we want to learn from the feedback. And in a sense, criticism, I believe it's just feedback. Recognize what's stopping you. Recognize those limiting beliefs. I do everything I do from a place of love. And for those of you who are on the call Tuesday and get pulled up into the hot seat, you know I love you. I love all of you guys. But if I don't push you and I just let people be comfortable, we're not going to get the results we want. All right. So learn from the criticism. Number 5, and a lot of you need to do this more, celebrate other people's success and your own. Every week when we start our calls, we celebrate our wins. Why? Because most of us don't even recognize that we have done some amazing things, and we continue to have these things to be grateful for each and every day. All of you, we're here today. There's some people not here today. They went to bed last night thinking they're going to come here on a Saturday and do whatever they want, and they did not make it. So celebrate your success and then celebrate the success of other people. Nothing makes me happier when I see what has happened with Joe and his business over these last 4 years. I am so happy for him because he so deserves it. And I'm so happy for all of you who continue to show up, who continue to do the work, and who are willing to adapt and take on that growth mindset, because you know you're here to do something great. And then I love this. This is from Carol Dweck. She did a TED talk on this. Harness the power of yet. There's some things you're not good at yet. Okay. But with work, perseverance, the right growth mindset, guess what? You're going to continue to improve. You're going to continue to improve on your trading. You're going to continue to improve on your mindset. You're going to continue and improve on how you set and achieve goals and how quickly you do those. So it's the power of some not yet, right? The power of yet. All right. So I want to encourage all of you to really decide today. You're welcome, Michelle, that you're going to take on a growth mindset. I want all of you to commit to being on that call on Tuesday. Let me see. New start. Yes, with a new start, you guys can. I want to see all of you. We've got nearly 1,000 people on here. I want all of you on that call on Tuesdays. I want to thank Liv for allowing me to open up the show today. You guys stick around because you have 4 more, I believe, amazing speakers. And the next one, I want to introduce. I'm very blessed to be able to introduce this young man to you. We met around 14, 15 years ago. I saw this young guy at an event in Las Vegas. And I don't know what, I actually believe he was there with Bryan Robert. And we were at some kind of, I don't know if it was a personal development event or what it was, but somehow we started speaking and we got to know each other a little bit. And then we started to develop a friendship. And I realized that there was something very special about this guy. I heard his story, where he'd come from and what he had been through and all that he'd done and the sacrifices that he made, not just for our freedom, for my freedom, but for his country. And I started to see that this was a very special and unique individual, that he had something special. And so an opportunity came to invest in him, in a business opportunity. And so at a time where I didn't really know him very well, but I knew enough. I have learned to be able to read people's character. And I could tell this was an exceptional young man, that he had the integrity. He had the drive, the burning desire. He had the vision that he knew he was here to do something special with his life, that all the hell that he had gone through was meant to make him stronger, that it was part of the test. And God put him here to lead people, to change his own life, which he had to do first, and then to change other people's lives. And I saw him turn into an amazing entrepreneur, an amazing visionary who created this business just a little less than 4 years ago. I saw and been able to see him grow as a man, as a husband, as a father, and as a friend. And so I am so excited. I am honored to be part of IX Global and the team here, and honored to consider him one of my closest friends. Mr. Martinez, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. And I'm here. Bryan Robert's here in the studio with me. And he said, is he talking about me? Am I up next? So we're just here having a laugh. Thank you, Jon. Appreciate that. It was pretty funny. So, well, everybody out there, thank you so much for being on with us today. A beautiful, beautiful Saturday. We have a lot of stuff that we need to go over, a lot of stuff that we need to talk through. I want to get to the training. I want to get to my topic. So, Liv, if you're listening to me right now, please forgive me, but I'm going to call an audible here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the news that happened yesterday, okay? So yesterday, I spent about 4 hours of my life in a conference room with my lawyers on a court hearing for the SEC versus IX debt box case, okay? So that's what I want to talk about here really quickly. I want to talk about this case. I want to give you guys some news. If you guys are interested, if you guys want to know the story of what happened yesterday, put some fire in that emoji or fire emojis in the chat for me, number 5s, whatever you want. Let me know if you guys want to know what is going on with the current lawsuit against our company and our partner vendors at Debtbox. All right, I'm getting a little bit. I'm not seeing too much. I guess not too many people want to know what's going on. All right, I'm going to wait for that to pick up a little bit. All right, I guess that's enough. Thank you guys. Thank you. We got a lot of great news. Now, I do want to start off by saying this is not the end of the case. Okay, this is step 1. It is a big step. It is a monumental step in what is going on inside of our lawsuit against the SEC, or the SEC's lawsuit against us. It was pretty amazing yesterday. We get in, the judge comes on screen, they do their normal kind of roll call thing, and they start talking, and the judge immediately says something. He says, look, in my 12 years of sitting on the bench, I have never issued an order for a regional director of the SEC to be on in a court hearing with us. And I did that because today I believe, I have not made my decision yet. I believe the right decision to make is to dissolve the TRO and discuss what happens with the receivership. That was the first official minute of the record of this court hearing. And I was like, just such a huge weight. You could just feel all of this stress just come off of me. I know, my wife has been feeling a lot of stress. Our entire corporate staff has been feeling a lot of stress. You guys have been feeling a lot of stress, not just the brand ambassadors, but also the node holders, the token holders, the debt box council. So we just felt this immediate lift of weight come off of us. You could feel the tension just release, and it was just an amazing experience. The judge went on for the next 50 minutes, essentially, and he was speaking directly to the SEC and speaking to point by point of how they either mischaracterized, misrepresented, or in some cases issued false statements in their complaint, which granted them the TRO. Okay. And so remember, he calls in the boss, he called in the regional director of the SEC. Okay. He called in, all of the attorneys are obviously going to be present, and he's talking them for 50 minutes nonstop. No one else is talking but the judge of what is going on with this TRO application. This isn't about the case, okay? This is not about the case. This is not about the complaint. This is not about the validity of the fraud claims or the securities issue. That's going to be argued next in this next phase. But it was about the TRO. Why did the SEC go about it in an ex parte, meaning why did they get a extraordinary measure of a temporary restraining order placed against myself, my company, debt boxes, companies, the ecosystem in general? And the judge, in my mind, in my recollection of things, he pointed it out to two simple facts of why he was overturning the decision. Number one was the YouTube video with Jake Anderson and myself, where the SEC essentially took his words out of context and misrepresented what he said. Now, there are some questions that the judge still has in his mind about the operations being in Abu Dhabi, but that will be argued next. And so that was one of the key factors. The judge said, I watched the entire YouTube video, and the way you presented the quotes to me in the complaint mischaracterized what Mr. Anderson said about their operations and about being outside of the SEC's jurisdiction. That's number one. The second thing was the closure of the bank accounts. Okay, the closure of the bank accounts. As I've previously stated, I've done Zooms on this before. I've done my screen shares. IX Global, myself as an individual, none of my family members, have we ever decided to close a bank account. Now, in the last year and a half, 2 years, since we've been working with crypto, have we got bank accounts closed on us by the bank's decision? Yes. And the thing that you have to understand is when I have a bank close my accounts out, it's not just my account. It's just not IX Global's account. It's not one account, because they close out my entire profile. That's my personal account. That's my joint account with my wife. That's my kids' account. And I have 3 kids, 1, 2, 3. That's my operational account. That's my commission account. And that's my savings account. There's 5, 6, 7, 8 accounts at a bank. So if I lost 2 banks in the last 18 months, which is about what I did, I potentially lost 14 accounts by myself of those 33. So the mischaracterization of us shutting down our bank accounts, on top of us not dissipating funds. The biggest problem that they have is with IX Global or myself is sending money over to the UAE, okay? Sending money over to the UAE is a business operational expense. We have some of our top representatives, our top brand ambassadors that reside in UAE, okay? Even before Debtbox came in, they've lived in the UAE, they've lived in Dubai. So we've paid them their commissions direct to bank out there. And that is one of the things that, we'll get to argue here pretty soon. With all that being said, the judge came in, he dissolved the TRO, he put a plan in place for the receivership, the receivers and the Debtbox counsel. They have about 48 hours, not about 48 hours, they have 48 hours or less to put a transition plan together. Now, what does that mean? That means over the next 48 hours, and I'm assuming that's business hours, so Monday, Tuesday, by Wednesday, there should be some type of official communication, official, Zoom, official newsletter, official something about Debtbox from the Debt Council, okay? I cannot guarantee you that. That is my assumption. It might be Thursday, it might be Friday, but there is news coming, okay? We want you to understand is that we are standing up. We are fighting this case for each and every one of you. For myself, yes. For my family, yes. But for every one of you. And this goes into my talk now, right? Why did we start IX? What was the motivation for starting IX? There was no motivation. It was done out of necessity. A lot of the people that started with me, a lot of the people that know me, that know the real reasons for starting the company, it's because we were in a dire need of a solution, of a platform, of a place to generate income. We were going into the pandemic. There was lockdowns coming. There was fear, uncertainty, doubt hitting every single person across the globe, okay, of how they were going to live, how they were going to buy groceries for their family, how they were going to get out and be able to provide for their family if they were locked in their home. And many of you live that. And that is what IX brought to the table. Now, one of the things that happened, like I said, over the last 3 years is we morphed, we changed, we transformed into something more. And some of those things are better, and some of those things might be a little bit off course, okay? And over the last year and a half, we had the ability to help a lot of people generate a lot of income through our compensation plan, through the products, right? Every one of those things entails risk. There's a lot of risk in what we do. Innovation brings opportunity, but innovation always brings with it risk as well, okay? Just think back to when the internet was first starting. If some of you guys might not remember, who is AOL, who is, even some people, Yahoo. I don't know who still has a Yahoo email, okay? But who do we know now? We know Google, right? We know Facebook. And that's what I want you guys to understand is over the next coming years, that innovation is going to bleed out. It's going to push out a lot of the wannabes, and it's going to create the next Google, the next Netflix, the next Facebook, okay, in the blockchain Web3 space. That's what we're positioning ourselves to be. Now, does that mean it's going to happen? No. Can I guarantee that? No. None of the brand ambassadors, nobody here can guarantee anything. But what I can guarantee you is that we will never quit until we achieve what we set out to do. We set out to build a legacy for ourselves, for our families, for our kids. And so let's talk a little bit about legacy. And I talk legacy because IX, I always say IX is all about you, right? You are IX. That I represents who you are as an individual, your mind, your body, your soul. I is your soul, okay? It represents not just your physical body, but the internal, inward life that you live deep within you. And you are the only person that knows how that is. Whether that's positive or negative, good or bad, whether that's full of trauma or whether that's full of enlightenment, whatever it may be, okay? Every single one of us needs to figure out what it is that drives us. Now, how do we do that? By asking ourselves the right questions. And I want to ask you guys a question. Those of you guys that are parents out there, right? I got 3 young ones, as you guys know. And a lot of the times I catch myself, and I've seen other parents do it, and it happened to me, and we start to ask our kids, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And obviously when the kids are younger, they're like, oh, I want to be an astronaut, and I want to be the president, I want to be a princess, or I want to be a queen, or whatever the case may be. Because nobody starts off by saying, I want to be an attorney, or I want to be, maybe some people a doctor. I'll give you that one. But no one starts off saying, well, I want to be a waste management collection specialist. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But every single one of us starts off with these hopes and dreams in our lives. And then what happens? We say, oh, yeah, you're young. You're, 5, 6, 7, 8. So them being an astronaut, you're like, oh, good for you. You can do it. Or they say, I want to be, the president. Oh, yeah, you're going to have to really study hard and do this. And you can do it. But then they start to grow up and we really have to we think we have to set their expectations. Why do we have to set their expectations? Because we want to protect them. We want to protect our children. We want to tell them, no, you might be better off going down this path, and we guide them. What you're doing when you guide them with that is you're guiding them with limited beliefs. You're guiding everybody in your family with limited beliefs. So ask yourself, would you take advice from yourself? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, then you probably should not be guiding your own child as far as their future. You want to enable them. You want to empower them. You want to enrich them. You want to give them more. You want to provide a better life, but you are limiting them because you're doing it based on your thinking. So that's never going to create you legacy. That is never going to create you legacy. A better question to ask your child instead of what do you want to be when you grow up, because they might not know, they could cause themselves harm as well, saying, well, I want to be a police officer. Oh, great. And they're thinking, my son wants to be a police officer because he's like, they got a gun, they go and help people, they drive around with their sirens on, and he thinks that's the coolest thing right now, right? And this is the question I asked him after. I said, well, Sebastian, what do you want to have in your life? And think about that for a second. So instead of asking your kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? You could ask them, well, what do you want to have in your life? Like, do you want a nice car? Do you want a nice home? Do you want to, you drive them around? Maybe you don't live in a good part of town. Maybe you do. Do you want a house like that one? Take him to, I don't know, the Mercedes dealership. Take him to the Porsche dealership. Take him to the Ferrari dealership. Take him to the Lamborghini dealership and say, do you want a car like that one? Or do you want a car like that one? And start dream building with them. Start building them up. So what do you want to have in your life? And he starts telling me, well, I want a house bigger than yours, Dad. And I want, a car like Mommy's, but it has to have this. And then I also want a car like yours. And then I want to have this like Bryan has. And I want to have this like Colby has. And I want this like these other people have. And I said, oh, that's really good, son. I love it. So we're going to write down all of these things that you want. But if you want all of these things, I don't think a police officer is going to be the way that you need to go in as far as a profession. And he asked me, well, what could I do? Well, you could start your own business. You can be an inventor. You can use your imagination to create anything that you want. And he gets more excited, right? So what are the lessons? This is the next question. So not what do you want to be when you grow up, but what do you want to have in your life when you grow up? And I'll ask you the same thing as every one of my people in the community, if you will, as I ask my children, I'll ask you, what do you want to have in your life? Because some people think, oh, I just want to buy a node and I want to make these tokens and that's it. Well, guess what? Well, that's going to make you some tokens. We can't guarantee anything about those tokens. So what is that going to give you? Well, it's going to give you more stress if you're depending on that. It's going to hurt you more emotionally because you're putting all your cards in one basket. So what do you want to have in your life? The next question is, what lessons do you want to leave your kids? What lessons do you want to leave your team? What lessons do you want to leave your family? Do you want to be that great grandmother, great grandfather, maybe just even 1 or 2 generations that nobody in the family ever remembers? Or do you want to be that great grandfather that has a portrait of him above the mantle in the home? And they say, that's my grandpa, Joe. He's the one that got us here. He's the one that started this company. He's the one that did this. He's the one that did that. That's remembrance. That's legacy. So what lessons do you want to leave your future generations? And when I ask that question, it's not just for your family. I'm asking that question to our community. I'm asking that question to each and every one of you guys out there, whether you're in IX, whether you're outside of IX, what lessons do you want to leave in this life? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And the next thing I want you to do is remind yourself, okay? Remind yourself, and I have this written down here because I don't want to mess it up. What matters most is what matters longest. Okay? What matters most is what matters longest. So what are the things that matter the most to you? Oh, well, it's my new iPhone or my new MacBook. Those are the things that are most important to me right now. Well, yeah, okay. But when you get past all the material things, when you get past, financial things, when you get past money, when you get past investments, when you get past technology, whatever it may be, and you really, really, really start to understand it, the things that matter most to me, I'll just give you my example, is my relationship with my God, with my higher power, my relationship with my family, with my kids, before that with my wife, okay? Those are the things that matter most to me because those are the things that matter longest. Those people in our lives, my wife, my kids, my God, those are going to be the people that are going to be there in the end for me, my friends that are going to be there for me. And so we start to think about now, if those are what matter most to me, the thing that comes after that, after the relationships, is now my emotional, my spiritual, and my physical health, because that's going to give us our overall well-being. That's going to give you your overall well-being. Your physical, your emotional, and your spiritual health will give you your overall well-being. And what I want you guys to understand is every single one of us has problems in our lives. A lot of those things stem from relationship problems, toxic relationships. Guess what? You have to have the courage to cut those relationships out. If you guys have not heard me talk about, the power of courage or power versus force, I want you to go into our platform, become a member of our XLife platform, IX, whatever you want to get involved in, but go check out our course on healing yourself. That's the first thing you need to do. You need to start to do the inward work. It shouldn't matter all of the money that you can make and how many people that you can recruit. If you cannot fix yourself first, you will not change the world. Now, I don't know if that's what you want to do, but the way we start to change the world is in 4 steps, in 4 areas. And this goes through we can do this as a child. We can do this as a career path. We can do it as an entrepreneur. You can do it as a parent, whatever it may be. It works in every single aspect of your life. And I want you to write these 4 words down, okay? And they're in this order. Number 1, preparation. They're my 4 P's, okay? The 4 P's of life. Number 1, preparation, okay? Number 2, profession. Number 3, passion. And number 4, purpose, okay? Now, every one of those, I'll call them pillars or layers, build on top of each other. So the first one, think of it as your base pillar, your foundation, number 1. That's preparation. Think about it for your children. My kids right now, Oliver just started kindergarten. He's now getting better at reading. He's doing amazing at math. We just had parent-teacher conferences 2 days ago, and they're like, he's great at this, but he needs to work on this. So he's getting prepared for life. He's learning the basics, how to read, how to write, how to count, math, science, all of those things. We all get that. And as young adults, or even as middle-aged adults right now, I keep thinking I'm young. Our preparation goes from the day that we're born till we're about 25 years old. That's when most people are graduating college these days, okay? So all of that education, you are getting not so much education as you're learning some basic things. Depending how you take things, be very, very careful where you're getting your kids educated at these days, okay? Number 1, that's your preparational phase. That's going to set the foundation for the rest of your life. That's where people are picking their careers, which is the next step, the profession. Just like I asked Sebastian, he told me, I want to be a police officer. Well, guess what? He wants to be a police officer, but he wants to have $1 million lifestyle. It's just not going to work, right? So we have to put things in line for them, but we have to help them really come to their own realizations. They have to think for themselves. And what we want to do as parents is we want to, number 1, we want to put our beliefs on them, which are limiting. Then we want, on top of that, we want to go and tell them, well, you have to do this. So we want to control them. No, let your children be free. Let them be who they want to be. Let them do what they want to do, because they were put here for a purpose. They have their own passions. You need to understand that. Every single one of you when you were growing up, and that's the 3rd P, right? Passion. When you were growing up, man, maybe you just really love sports, or you really loved cooking, or you really just love gaming, whatever it is that you are passionate about. We start to lose those over time because we're told in the 2nd phase, our profession, that no, we can't have any of those things anymore. We can't have fun anymore. We can't have hobbies anymore. We cannot do the things we like to do because we have to now provide for the family. We now have to nurture the family. We now have to take care of our kids. But guess what? Now you're going into that relationship with your kids, with your wife, with your family, with resentment, because you were never fulfilled. You let your own passions die. What kind of an example is that for your kids? So if that happened to you, do not let it happen to your children. Break that cycle. Ed Milet the other day at our retreat, he said, you have to be the one. You are the one. Ask yourself that question. Are you the one in your lineage, in your family, that is going to change the entire future of your family tree? And I am the one in my family. Are you the one in your family? It all starts here. It all starts with the questions that you're asking yourself. Now, the last thing that we put up on the top, passion and then purpose. So down at the bottom, okay, we have, and I wish I had a slide for this. I don't have it prepped, but preparation, okay, profession, passion, purpose. Those passions, we lose them over time because life hits us and we forget about them. And then we feel resentful because we never worked on our passions. We never did the things that we love to do. So we spent the rest of our life working, right? Just like that saying goes, it can go either way. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Well, guess what? Do what you don't love and you're going to hate the rest of your life. That's the other side of it. So what are you doing? Ask yourself, am I working on the things that I'm passionate about? And I don't care if it's IX or network marketing or affiliate marketing. I don't care if it's something else, but find what you're passionate about. Ask yourself those questions. And then what you got to do from there is dig a little bit deeper, because what you're going to find is those passions were given to you by your higher power. Those are called innate gifts, okay? Those are talents that were given to you from your higher power, from the universe, from the cosmos. It's that energy that influences and drives your personality, your being, your soul, some of your decisions. And when you get below those passions, you're going to find your purpose. And when you really find your purpose, the reason that you were put here on this earth, you're going to start to say, wow. And you're going to find some motivation in the toughest and darkest times. I truly know what I was put here to do. I know what we're going to do with our community around the world. I know the lives that we're going to bless. Right now, are we going through some trials? Have we had some issues? Yes. But guess what? Those are temporary. And one thing that I've always ingrained in myself, because it came ingrained in me from the Marine Corps, and I'm ingraining in my children right now, is pain is temporary. Glory is forever. So ask yourself, are you willing to go through that pain? Are you willing to sacrifice money, time, energy to really find your passions and deep, deep, deep down find that purpose, find the reason you really put here? But that all has to start from here, from within, from right here. It all starts right here within yourself. So I've gone off a little bit on a tangent there. One of the last things that I really want to close on right here is, in IX Global, in our compensated community, as you guys know, we've always had a concept called the power of three. And I think the power of three is just an amazing concept, because three throughout life, throughout my universe, as I like to call it, throughout my creation here in this reality, is the power of three in compensated communities. That's going to help you duplicate and grow to elite ambassador like no other. That I could guarantee you, okay? If you put the time and effort and energy into the compensation to learning how to build and train others, the power of three will build you to elite ambassador, no problem. But the power of three, there's so many other signs out there that can help. And in the Marine Corps, I started to look at it, and it was the power of three there is in their values, their honor, courage, commitment. In IX, our power of three is innovate, inspire, impact. Innovate, inspire, impact. That's our power of three. A couple weeks ago up in Oakley at our mastermind, I had a very, very dear friend of mine and a very important person in the next phase of our growth here in IX and in the future of what we're doing. He pointed out another three great powers. And one thing is, I believe in the Trinity. So there's the power of three there. And this dear friend, Howard, he started talking about the law of unity, the law of language, and the law of dreams. Let me say those again. The law of unity, the law of language, and the law of dreams. So I want you guys to write these down because they're very important for the next phase of what we're going to do with IX. Number one is unity. With the new platforms that we're launching, the new technologies that we're launching, the products that we will be relaunching, that unity will be felt across the entire community. It will build belief. It will build creation. It will lift us out of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. When you are united in purpose, when you are united in belief, when you are united by those you love, it brings a power to this world. The next one is the power of language, is the way I wrote it down, the spoken word. And everything that we do in our lives is built by our words. First, internal words, if you think about it, because all we're doing when we're thinking is we're talking to ourselves, our self-talk. Those are our internal beliefs. Those are our internal words. Then we voice them. We speak them. And that is, I believe, when the scripture says that if you just have a small amount of faith, you can move mountains. The reason we can move mountains, that is true right now. If I really wanted to, I could go and move a mountain. Yes, I'd have to hire some bulldozers and some dump trucks. But if I had a passion and a purpose to move that mountain, I could do it. Okay? It might not be the way some people are thinking it and saying literally like, oh, I can just pick that up in my mind and put it down over there. No. But you have the power to speak your world into existence. Be careful what you're saying. Be careful what you're saying to your children. Okay. If you guys have not seen our YouTube video, there's a YouTube video out there from the Think and Grow Rich movie from our Living the Legacy course. And it talks about, or there's a clip in there about Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison's mother received a letter from the school essentially saying, your son is handicapped. He has some learning disabilities. We don't want him at this school because we don't have a way to help him. Teach him at home. And instead of reading those words to Thomas Edison, what she told him, it might have been a small little fib, but she told him, your child is gifted. He is amazing. He's a lot smarter than anybody around in our school. He's smarter than the teachers. And we do not have the ability to teach him here at this school. So please teach him from home. And that created the Thomas Edison, that created some of the modern world that we have in our life today. The light bulb, electricity. Imagine living life without electricity. So the words that we speak have power. The words that we speak have power. And the last one is the law of dreams. The law of dreams to me, and these are my own words here, it is, do you still have the power of imagination? Inside of this mind of yours, and your mind is not your brain, okay? Your mind, just like your soul, is located between an organ inside of your brain, your heart, and your entire body. Your mind, I like to think of it as our entire physical body. But this imagination has been muted, silenced by society. It's been silenced by culture. It's been silenced by the things that we were taught in school, the indoctrination that we were taught in school, not the education. The things that we were told we could or could not do by people that we respected, role models and mentors when we were growing up that put their limiting beliefs on us. And the only way to wake up that dream is by going inward again. So when I say going inward, when I say IX is all about you, I'm hoping that my words reach you. It's all about going into your own mind, your own body, your own spirit. And how do you do that? You do that through audio content, right? Podcasts. You do that through books, and you do that through events. That is the system here. And over the next couple weeks through XLife, through Odyssey, we will be launching a business suite, a plug and play business suite that will help you get to the levels that you want to. Curated content that'll give you the ability to be who you want to be and be more than who you can even think you can be. But it all starts with that dream. It all starts with that imagination. It all starts with the language, the words that we are speaking. And it all starts with unity. Unity is alignment. From here, where am I aligning? Am I going up or am I going down? Am I going faith-based or am I going fear-based? That is the question you have to ask yourself. So, guys, for me, in wrapping up, in closing, what I like to tell you guys and remind you is what we were putting together. Yes, there is an opportunity to make financial changes in your life. Financial education, financial literacy courses, wealth creation strategies that we'll be launching. But at the same time, there's obviously commissions that can be generated. If you're a brand ambassador, some of our products have the potential to help you generate an income. There is risk involved in all of that. That is where people start. And that is unfortunate, because where the focus should be is not on the money, because that's external. If you fix what's internal first, the external things, the material things will flow with ease. And that took me about a whole year to learn. Because when I first got started in this industry, my mentor told me, Joe, if you want to make more money, be a better person. Or he would tell me on another occasion, if you want to make more money, if you want your business to grow, you have to grow. And that's all I would hear. I'd be like, well, I want to learn public speaking. I want to learn this. I want to learn that. Like, I want to learn all of the mechanical stuff. Guess what? The mechanical stuff, the skill set stuff of networking, of entrepreneurship, of business building, that's like 10%. The other 90% is mindset. The other 90% is the inner work that you have to do, the personal development. Because when you're ready to grow, your business will grow. When you're ready to change your life, your life will change. And it took me the longest time. And he would tell me that over and over again. And I got really mad one day and I said, are you going to teach me anything else? Like, I came here to be mentored. And he, sat me down, we talked, and I started to make some changes in my life. I started to be more open and receptive to that, creating the life that I wanted wasn't so much about brute force, okay? Like I was used to from the Marine Corps. Creating the life that you want is a lot more faith-based. It's a lot more inner work. It's a lot more mindset development than it is skill set development. And I was taught those first two stages, preparation and profession. I knew I wanted to be a professional of this industry because of how much income I could make. But that was my end all be all was money. And when I wasn't making money, I was not happy. So you have to find deeper purpose. And that's where you go into the other side of that, your passions and your purpose. And so what I want to do today, guys, is I want to take the opportunity. I'm going to close up here, and I want to take the opportunity to bring on here our next speaker, somebody that's changed my life over the last 15 years. They're not just friends, but family. The great thing that I love about family, as you guys may or may not know, I'm an orphan. I lost my mom and my dad at a really young age. I lost my sister later on in life. So I'm here. I've always felt like I'm here alone in this world. And Mandy, one of my good friends and mentors and second mom, she said, look, the great thing about when you grow up is you now get to choose your friends. And you get to choose which friends become family. When you're born, you do not get to choose your family. How many of you guys out there have family members, man, you do not want to see them at Christmas time or Diwali or Holi or whatever the case, Thanksgiving, okay? Like, man, I don't want to go to Thanksgiving. Uncle Joe's going to be there. I don't want to see him. Or Uncle, this person's going to be there. I don't want to see him. And so you're like, man, you don't get to choose your family, but you get to choose your friends. And then you get to choose which friends become family. And I really love that. And so one of the things that I love about what we do in this industry is you get to create not just a team, not just a community, but a family. And this person has helped me, helped my family, helped this entire community, whether they know it or not, in the good times and in the bad times. And that's what we need to truly understand, is find those people that are going to be there for you. And so with that, I want to take this opportunity to give the next 20 minutes to my good friend and mentor, Mr. Bryan Robert. Bryan? And he's right here with me, guys. So stage is all yours.
I've been trying to mess him up this whole time, but yeah. And apologize if I sneeze. Weather's changing over here. Me and Colby got pretty bad allergies, but I loved hearing what Joe said, and especially because I've been able to see it, really from the beginning. I've had so many people, and it's like, haven't you already heard the story? And well, how did he, be able to start it and this and that? And I remember, whenever Joe moved to Utah, I had just met him on a chance occasion out there in California, and he was leaving again for another tour in Iraq or somewhere in the Middle East. And it was, we talked for a minute, maybe 2 minutes, just like, you're talking to all kinds of people whenever you're at these. And I happened to be back there, I don't know, 8 months later or something like that. And he was there, and we actually sat down, and I remember he told me, he was like, I want to get out the military. I want to kind of do what you do. And so I did what I normally do, and I'm like, well, hey, come to Utah, come stay for a few weeks. And I remember calling Mandy. I was like, hey, this kid's gonna come out here for a few weeks. And and I remember Joe packed a bag. I didn't realize that was all the bag he had of everything in his in his existence, and ended up living with us for a few years. And I remember those days whenever I would tell him that, if you want to make more money, be a better person. And yes, I remember times where he's looking at me like, I want to punch you so hard right now. But it paid off, right, Joe? But there are some action things that he also did. We started working internationally, specifically Spanish speaking. And after we were doing it for a little while, Joe got so mad that he couldn't communicate the way that he wanted to in Spanish. And he sat down and learned Spanish pretty much in about 6 months. Became pretty fluent with it. But that was just kind of always the way that he was. And one other thing I want to say, because I'll jump into this, is I asked him, if you've ever heard me talk or teach over the years, I talk about the why. And I remember after Joe had been with us for a little while, and I was like trying to, dig down more, because whenever you first start this business, your initial thought is, well, why am I doing it? I'm doing it to make money, and and then after a while we dug down, and I said, what is it you want? And he says, I want what you have. I want to have a house like this. I want to have a family. I want to have, be able to mentor and teach and all these different things. And I said, bro, it's going to take, 3 years, 5 years, but you'll get there. You'll buckle down and get there. And, as I watched him over the years, I remember I even told him one time, I was like, you're going to be far more successful than me because you have a bigger vision, a bigger why than I do. And so it's exciting. It's exciting what's happening right now. I remember when this stuff started happening with the SEC, and I think Joe covered it well. I just told him, I was like, we have to have faith and belief that truth is going to prevail. It just has to, and it's looking like that it is. So that's exciting. And what I'm talking about today, and I'm not going to take very much time, but is about relationships and, building relationships within this community. And yes, whenever Jon was talking and he was saying all these great things about Joe, I told Joe, I was like, I think he's talking about me. And, and John's one of our very close friends, but that's a great example of somebody we built a long-term relationship with. Not everything has always gone well with some of the things that we've tried to do and work together, but we've always had enough trust and enough relationship to be able to, get past that and, now see where we are. And so, my mentor, Barry Ackle, used to say another name for network marketing is relationship marketing. And I did write a few notes, but I do have a Louisiana public school education. I'm like, I can't even barely read my own handwriting. So I'll try to get through this, just like a few points. But he used to talk about it as relationship marketing. And it didn't really make much sense to me in the beginning. My goals were money, girls, cars, like it was a very, I'm just saying, it's the truth, right? We're to find a notepad with my first Y's on it, somewhere from 30 years ago. But, I just had a very, shallow understanding of what the business was. But what I noticed was that I was building relationships, and many of those relationships have lasted till today. But I really understand now at this point what Barry meant by relationship marketing, and it's too much to cover in a short period of time, but I just have a few thoughts that I want to bring in. And the first is, building your team around relationships. And so the first company that we worked, Joe and I worked, and, Colby, who's here, and Chris Langle, lots and lots and lots of people. It's a company called Rev Energy. It's actually still in business. We're not involved in it, but unbelievable products. Chris was handing it out at his wedding. We still buy it. Our dreams and aspirations kind of outgrew the owners, and, so things moved. But I can't tell you how often people come up to me and say, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I was like, yeah, you were in Rev, and just the memories and everything that we did meetings, and we did road trips, and we did, movies and barbecues and, dance parties and, all these different things. And we built real strong relationships. I had a guy delivering a package the other day from FedEx, and he started talking. He's like, I know you. And I was like, really? And he was, yeah, I was, part of Rev. And he was, asking about and just the great memories and everything that he had. And a lot of my best friends to this day are people that I built a relationship with in that company, and I'm not even doing business with them anymore. They're not, NIX, we're just friends outside of network marketing. And, that's a powerful thing. And it does a lot of things. First of all, you can meet some of your best friends and lifelong friends and family members through this industry if you allow it to happen. And that's a benefit. More than money, I wouldn't trade the friendships and things that I've made and people that I hang out with to this day, that I'm no longer involved in any sort of business relationship. I wouldn't trade those relationships for any amount of money. And so that is a form of winning in network marketing. A lot of times people think that in network marketing, the way you win is by making money. And I guess that, that's for sure a metric, and it's something we all want to do. But, I know people that never really made much money, but had an extreme fear of public speaking, or, needed just positive motivation. And they went on, the original people that I worked with back in the 90s, they call us the Bayou Boys because from Louisiana. And even though most of them didn't stick with network marketing, they've gone on to become, doctors, professional golfers, business owners, just from the things that we did and we learned and everything. So there's a lot of ways to win in this business. And one of those ways is relationships. And here's another interesting thing about building relationships. Even though a lot of these people, we're not working together, I can't tell you, look, the world becomes a very small place whenever you start to do business globally. You never know who's going to talk to someone or ask someone. And I've had lots of people that I was doing a meeting with, and they're like, well, I actually know your friend so-and-so. And whenever I mentioned your name, they, said good things and, praised you and everything else. And that leads to more successful things within business. And so there's never a downside to building a good relationship and even extending that relationship on even if people go and join other companies, or if they just get out of network marketing. Man, I've seen so many people where someone's like, leaves and they're joining another team. And next thing you know, the people that were their quote unquote friend and everything, they're talking trash. And I'm like, what are you doing? Isn't this like your friend? And like, well, he was talking trash on me. It's like, so what? You learn a lot about someone by what they say about other people. And go take a poll of people that I've worked with before that are no longer working with, left to go to other companies, didn't want to come with me to a different company, whatever. And even though a lot of times, maybe you've lost a little touch with those people or whatever, but man, I've had not dozens, but hundreds over the years that have, kept in touch and come back and said, hey, what are you doing now? Because you never burned that bridge. And even though, maybe you're not, working together every day or something, they're in another business, but I've done events and meetings and, mentorship trainings, network marketing trainings for people that are in competing companies, but they're people that I truly love, and they had to, wanted to make a different decision to go somewhere else. And I'm like, hey, of course I wish you were here, but I wish you luck. I get the decision. And if I could do anything to help you anytime in the future, let me know. And I promise you that that's going to pay dividends to your business. You're not going to get anything back. Like, what does it benefit you to badmouth somebody else? It just makes you feel better. There's no benefit to it. And because if you're saying something and then all of a sudden that person hears it, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to say something. And I've had people sometimes that have come up to me and they mention someone. I'm like, yeah, that person's awesome. They're in another business. Man, you should hear the things they're saying about you. It's terrible, this and this. And yeah, part of you is like, oh, it really hurts my feelings, because I really, love this person or whatever. And the best thing you can do is say, you know what, I don't know why they feel that way, but I think they're a great person. And you should see the look on people's faces, because they're just thinking you're going to say, oh, well, let me tell you about them, that type of thing. I'm telling you, putting negativity out there to the universe is not going to bring positivity back to you in any way, shape, or form. And so building relationships, getting to know those people, are huge. Another thing when it comes to building relationships, when it comes to building this business, is taking a long-term perspective. A long-term perspective. How many people have you brought into the business or have joined the business, and you already know they have like a 30-day time clock. Some of them a 1-week time clock. And because like, well, I already talked to 2 people, they told me not interested. I just don't know if this business is for me. And like, bro, you've been doing this a week, 2 weeks. You talked to 2 people. And so a lot of people don't have a long-term perspective. Even us as leaders who are building the business, we sometimes are looking at this. I remember I would almost look at the business in terms of days, weeks, what I did. And now there's another side to that, so I don't want to get them confused. You still want to measure your habits on what you do on a daily basis. But in terms of the bigger picture of the business, when I stopped looking at this business in terms of days and weeks and months, and I started thinking about this as a process of years or even decades, what type of momentum can you build when you build a business, that long with those types of relationships? And this is not a knock on people who, do social media every day, because I wish I had that type of skill and the dedication to do that. And that pays absolutely huge dividends also. But if you'll notice, I haven't put a post on social media, I think since 2018, 2019. And even before then, I think the year before it was like some dancing videos or something like that. So, but yet I'm still able to build this business. Why? Because I have decades of work that I've put in terms of relationships, in terms of I can call someone if we're opening, right now, if we said we're going to go into Malaysia, we're going to go into, you can name a country, probably know someone there, and I haven't burned that bridge. And I can call them and they'll take that call. They'll take that thing and I'll just say, hey, look, we're coming in over here. Let me take you to lunch. And, I'd love to talk to you about what we're doing. Hey, and you can also tell me what you're doing. And it's always going to be the same. Yeah, of course. Hey, well, hit me up whenever, you get into town, when are you coming type thing. And that takes a long time in terms of building those relationships. And, the other thing I was thinking about, it's like if money was just the motivator, why would someone like Elon Musk or a lot of these other people that are worth tens of millions or hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, why do they still work so hard? Because the money is just a byproduct of what it is that they're out there doing. They have a bigger goal, a bigger accomplishment, a bigger why, a bigger dream. Because what's going to happen is if you build this business long enough, you're probably going to wind up hitting your goal. And at first the goal is going to be $500 a month, or maybe $1,000 or $2,000, or maybe you got a huge goal of $5,000 or $10,000 or, something like that. Once you surpass that, what is it that keeps you going? And so start to learn the wins. I look back at, again, Rev Energy or some of these other companies that we've built over the years. And even though we did not make the type of money that we're making over here at IX, right? Or some other businesses, a lot of times people think the journey ends when I get to, okay, so if I got to, it doesn't matter what it is, $50,000 in a month, $100,000 in a month, then I'll be happy. Then my life can start. Then I can start enjoying life and networking and everything. But some of the people, like I said, that have the best memories and things, even myself, they're not, I remember the first time, and it was in the 90s, that I made over $100,000 in a month. And that was very rare, back then, just because of the nature of how compensation plans and everything work. Not to get onto a compensation plan tangent, because y'all know I would. But it just was very difficult because of the nature of how they were very simple plans in the 90s and 2000s and everything. So it was a huge thing. And you might think, well, that was my best memory. But except for now and a few times over the years, I never even talk about it, never think about it. That wasn't the best part about that business. It wasn't hitting that check. It was all these memories. We'd go play laser tag. We'd play bet on Mario Kart and GoldenEye and bet people to jump into the pool when it was freezing, and all these great memories that you have with these relationships that you build. And I realized over the years is that enjoy the ride, enjoy the process, enjoy this part of the business, because the money is good and it's great and it's a goal, but you can bring so much joy and happiness to your life, long-lasting friends. The best parts of the memories, like you're winning if you're surrounded with people that are like-minded. You're winning, this CEO challenge and getting better and changing your life. You're winning when you go down this path. There's not an end. You're winning the entire time. And the best memories that I have are the trips and the fun and the late night conversations and the long drives to the middle of nowhere. And we show up to the meeting and there's one person there. We're like, are you kidding? But we talk the whole night, with somebody. Like, those are the things that mean the most. And those are the things, that's the glue that's going to hold your business together as you do this. And I'm going to wrap up by introducing the next person. And here's a great example of someone that I had a relationship, that I built a relationship with over about a decade period of time. And I had met Travis once. I couldn't even remember who I had met him with. And but, really nothing came out of it. And I remember I was with Paul, and we were in Brazil in Recife, and it was late at night. I think I was, just kind of sitting on the beach or whatever, looking at the stars, listening to the waves. And I got on Facebook, and I saw Travis had put this post, and I just kind of felt inspired to, message him back. And I was, said, and I still have it, how they store everything somewhere. But, just the basics of it was like, man, I really like this post. I like, what you're saying, da, 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 da. And he responded back to me, and he was like, hey, I've always had great respect for you, whatever that little conversation was. And it wasn't like all of a sudden we're best friends. We're talking every day. Our paths crossed over time and everything. We kind of did like a little bit of stuff together. But when I reached out to Travis, and, of course, Summer is included on that, but I was calling Travis, he knew I was coming from a genuine place. I said, Travis, I know you're crushing it where you are. I know, I promise you, I'm not trying to recruit you right now. I was like, but I just think I got something really cool here that maybe you could benefit from. And of course, now we're much closer and continuing that relationship. And that's a long-lasting friendship, family type relationship that we're building. And so I so much appreciate him, everything he does for this company, everything he does literally every day. I sometimes feel guilty of how much he does for everybody and doesn't maybe get as much accolades. But anyway, Travis Flaherty, it's all yours.
What's up, IX Nation? How's everybody doing? First of all, I want to say what a privilege, what a pleasure, what an honor it is to be aligned with such amazing leaders, people of integrity, individuals like Bryan, individuals like Joe, Jon, fantastic mentorship and training earlier today. We're blessed to have you. And one piece of advice I'd like to give is guys, don't take the Tuesday mentorships for granted. I get on those, and I have missed some of those trainings, and I'm making it a priority. I actually put it in my calendar, because if it's not in your calendar, then it doesn't count. And the amount of mentorship that's happening inside of this company and the quality of leadership that we have is just absolutely incredible. And I feel truly blessed to be aligned with, I don't even want to say this company, this family, because, Joe talked earlier about family, and I love what he said. He said, as you get older, you get to choose your friends. You get to ultimately, even in some ways, choose your family, right? And I'm not talking about choosing from a bloodline standpoint, but friendships do turn into family. And I've only been with IX Global for about 14 months, but I've never felt more at home and just more aligned than I do now. I love this company. I love the people that are in it, and that includes each and every one of you guys. So I've done like an audible, and then I've done like a reverse audible, Joe. I've gone back and forth on what I wanted to talk about today. And, I a lot of times will just go off of what I feel like people need to hear. And a lot of times for me, that means just listening to the other speakers and doing my best to be in tune with where we are right now. And I'm always praying and asking, how can I add the most value to our community? And so today, I'm following those instincts, and I've got some pictures and things that I'm going to share along the way. I'll be pulling those up here in just a few minutes. But before I get into that, I want to start off by just sharing a little bit of Summer and I, our story with you. Some of you, what you may see before you is somebody who is quote unquote a leader, somebody who has had success in network marketing, or, can confidently get in front of a group of however many people are watching this either live or on demand. And but what you don't realize is the backstory, right? One thing that I want everyone to understand is every single overnight success has a 10-year or even 20-year backstory that you don't hear about. And with social media today, it's become very, very easy to forget about the struggle, right? I mean, if you think about the cycle of success, it's dream, Everything starts with a dream. If you don't have a dream, right? People without a vision will what? They will perish. You have to have a dream. So it all starts with a dream. But then from there, what happens? From there, you have the struggle, right? In the struggle is where we find our strength, where we find our courage. In the struggle is ultimately where we plant the seeds so that eventually we can enjoy those crops that are on the mountaintops, right? In the struggle is that refiner's fire where we figure out what we're made of. It's where we become the person that we were meant to become, right? It's where we grow and we ultimately start to identify some of our greatest strengths. And most importantly, it allows us and prepares us to be able to serve others that come after us, right? In the struggle. So we start off with a dream, then we have our struggle, and then we have the victory, right? Dream, struggle, victory. But a lot of times on social media, what we see is the victory, but we don't see the struggle. So I want to share with you a little bit of our story. Summer and I, in 2005, got involved in the direct selling industry. Now, at that time, we had just moved to Utah. I had no idea that Utah was like the mecca of network marketing. So it didn't take long, right? We moved into a neighborhood and we just thought everybody was so friendly. Like everybody was like, hey, you know what? Welcome to the neighborhood. We'll come help you move in. And hey, we're going to invite you over to dinner. And I'm like, man, this is like the most amazing. And it was an amazing neighborhood. But I'll never forget the first time that we went to dinner and we sat down and somebody pulled out a whiteboard and they started drawing bubbles on a board. And I thought, what in the world is this? And that was kind of one of my first exposures to network marketing. And I thought, man, no, I just don't see myself being a network marketer. How many of you have said, I don't see myself being successful in this environment. I don't have all those skills and the talents. And man, I don't know, what are people going to think of me if I get involved in network marketing, right? I had all of those emotions and all of those feelings. You know, we had no idea where this industry would take us or how much impact it would have on our lives. You know what I thought? I thought when we finally did get started, that it was all about getting lucky. If I could just join the right company at the right time and be positioned in the right place, then hopefully I'll just get lucky and I'll make a bunch of money. That's what I thought when I came into this industry. Man, was I so wrong. It's not about luck. It's not about positioning. You know, I hear people say this all the time. They say, yeah, you know, only the people at the top make all the money. You know, here's a great thing, guys, that I'm going to let you see, a little secret I'm going to let you in on today. You're all at the top because your organization starts with you. I'm at the top of my organization. You're at the top of your organization. There are no gifts. There's no handouts. It's all about who you become. It's all about the journey. It's all about the value that you add in people's lives. So Summer and I joined that first company, hoping to get lucky, total amateurs. And I went out and I threw up on everybody. I mean, I went out there and I did everything that you possibly could do wrong. I'd call people up and say, hey, listen, you got to get on this company. They just launched right now. And you know what? They've got this great super juice that just launched and it's got a 7,000 ORAC value and you got to join me right. I just was blowing up on people, right? Just throwing up on them. And people were like, whoa, I got to avoid Travis for a while. He's on one. He's excited about something. Well, we got into that company and it wasn't a big success for us. We had a traditional business at the same time, and that traditional business was paying the bills. And so we kind of went and started focusing more. I was kind of one of those in and out, right? I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. How many of you guys know network marketers that do the hokey pokey in your business all the time, right? You put your left foot in, you put your left foot out. That was me. I was kind of in and out of the business. So a couple of years go by, our traditional business is doing great. It's, you know, somewhere around 2007 and 2008. And then all of a sudden, my business relied on mortgage, right? We provided leads in the mortgage industry. And all of a sudden, somebody started talking about subprime loans not performing well on Wall Street. And overnight, we lost everything. It was one of the most humbling experiences of my life. I mean, we lost, you know, our home, our cars. I mean, we had cars repossessed. We had our electric and gas being shut off. You know, my gas would get shut off in the middle of winter. Living in Utah, I had no gas and no way to heat my home. We would bring sleeping bags into our bedroom and get all the kids and make them sleep with us so that we could keep them warm at night because I could not afford to pay my electric. you know, if you've ever been in a situation before where you get your electric shut off or your gas shut off, not only do they want you to pay the past due bill, now they want you to pay the current bill plus a new deposit. I'm like, I couldn't even pay the original bill. Now I got to come up with all this money to get my electric turned back on. So I'd get my electric shut off. And you know what? I'd work really, really hard. And then I'd get my electric back on. And guess what would happen? The gas would shut off. And back and forth. And so I played this game for a while. And I want to show you this because I've got some pictures that I kind of want to share as I'm telling the story. Because this is a true story. This is the green bug right here, guys. The green bug. So this particular vehicle right here was a rental after our cars had been repossessed, right? I mean, literally, it's the most humiliating feeling in the world when a tow truck driver comes and takes your vehicle and you don't have any way to be able to get your kids to school. So we went and rented the cheapest vehicle that we could find, which was this beauty right here. Now, our kids are in what, middle school, somewhere around or elementary school at this time. And it's not the coolest thing in the world. They didn't want us to drop them off in this bug. So we would have to drop them off a little bit out a ways from the school because they were embarrassed about being seen in this bug. So I want you to imagine, this is where we started. This is our journey. Now, not only that, not only did we lose everything, here's what I learned, by the way, by losing everything. When you lose everything, when you go through these challenges, when your back is against the wall, it can become a springboard to go and reinvent yourself and to go do something new. And I want you to hear this. Sometimes we go through challenges in life to push us down a different path to exactly where we are supposed to be and exactly who we are supposed to be. Can I get an amen? Some of you are going through the refiner's fire right now. Some of you are really, really struggling, maybe financially. How many of us know somebody that's going to go to bed tonight saying a prayer asking for financial solutions? That was me. That was me. So we got started in our next network marketing company, somewhere around 2008, 2009. We thought, you know what? We're going to do this. And this time we didn't just dip our toe in the water. We went all in. Right? I mean, I want you to think about it for a moment. It's one thing to sign the application. It's one thing to go and buy the pack, create your username, set up an account, get a back office. It's one thing to join a business, but it's another thing entirely to launch a business. And so at this point and at this stage, I had everything. I had nothing to lose. And I had to go all in because I had a family that relied on me. And the greatest motivation in my life is knowing that I have people that count on me and people that depend on me and people that believe in me. And so with that determination, we got started in our next business. But network marketing is not built to just start and go create a full-time income in the first month. You hear these stories every now and then of, oh, this person got started and they made $10,000 in their first month. Guess what? There's a 5-year backstory, 10-year backstory that you haven't heard. That's not what network marketing is. See, here's the thing, and I want you to understand this about network marketing and direct sales. You're going to do a lot of things in the beginning stages that you don't get paid for. Down the road, you're going to get paid a lot for the things that you don't do if you just keep going. But in the beginning stages, I'm telling you, it's tough. You know, I remember 6 months in to this business, I remember saying to Summer, I could make more money on an hourly basis at McDonald's than I'm making right now. I was so frustrated. I'd put people in, 30 days later, they'd be off their auto ship. I'd go put 20 new people in. 6 months later, I was the only one on auto ship. Sound familiar? So I had to go take a job. I had to go get a job. I had been an entrepreneur for my entire adult life, and I had to go take a job. Why? Because I will do whatever I need to do to take care of my family. And so I took a job on a sales floor in Salt Lake City. And I remember going to that job every day. I'd leave at about 8 o'clock in the morning. I hated it. And I would go and I would sit in a cubicle and I would make 150 calls on an auto dialer just all day long. And it was selling for a coach, a mentor. And it was one of the most humbling, humiliating experiences of my life, because I had grown accustomed to being at home with my family. You know, here I was sitting in this cubicle. But the interesting thing is while I was there working, in the evenings, on my lunch break, and on the weekends, I was building my network marketing business, because I was determined to get off of that sales floor. And some of the skills that I learned on that sales floor still serve me today. One of the greatest skills that I learned is how to ask more questions, right? Everybody's out there selling and telling, trying to convince people to join their company, buy my products, when the real thing that we should be doing is listening, asking the right questions. It's always about the questions that you ask. And so I would have this coach, this lead that I had, that would come over and he would hit me on the head with a ruler and he would say, stop selling and ask more questions. And it would drive me crazy. But I got to the point where I could literally start a conversation and take someone all the way through to where they were ready to sign up and buy from us to high dollar packages without doing anything other than asking questions. And I can tell you that that skill serves me to this day. It's one of the greatest skills that I've ever learned. You see, sometimes when we're in the valleys, when we're in the struggle, when we're going through the refiner's fire, we're there for a reason, because we are there to learn these new skills, learn something about ourselves that prepares us for our greater calling in life. And so for me, we continued to work on our business. Now, lost our cars, had our home repossessed, working on a sales floor. You know, you say to yourself, man, this can't get much worse than this. Well, I broke my knee. I fell into a window well and I shattered my knee. And 6 weeks later, I was going on, it was a weekend. I'd signed up my children's kindergarten teacher. I was going over there to do a getting started training. I go over to her house. I'm literally just 6 weeks out of surgery. It was a really, really bad break. And I slipped and I broke my knee again 6 weeks later. Let me show you guys. So when you say, never ask yourself or never say to yourself, could it get much worse than this? Because I'm telling you, it can always get much worse. So here we are, the first time that we ever walked the stage. Guys, I was so proud to be able to walk across the stage for the first time and be recognized at one of the first few ranks in the company. I didn't walk though, I hobbled across the stage. But I remember how it felt to be able to achieve a goal, to be able to commit to something and know that we were on our way. We weren't making anywhere near the kind of money that we would need to be able to survive, to be able to pay the bills, but we were committed. And I want you to know that it was about this point in my career where we made a decision. Summer sent me to an event in Florida. It was the actual national convention for the company that we were with. She didn't come with me because we couldn't afford 2 plane tickets. We took money that was meant to be meant for our mortgage so that I could go to this event. And we just figured that we would figure it out somehow. That's how we've always, we figure it out. We say yes, and then we figure out a way, right? That's how it works. And so we said, you know what? I'm going to go to this event and I'm going to try and learn from the people that are having the success that I want to have. So we started to, make these kind of decisions to surround ourselves with better people. And so I went to this event, sitting in the back row. Right, I got there late. I didn't want to get there early because I'd have to talk to people. Those of you that don't know me know that I'm kind of an introvert extrovert, right? The people that I'm around that I know, total extrovert. But if I show up at an event, I get overwhelmed to the point where I almost, at times, will hyperventilate. To me, it's a lot of work to go to an event, and it stresses me out, and I'll even lose sleep the night before over it. So I go there late on purpose, show up and slide into the back row so that nobody will see me, and I'm sitting there. And I'm watching these people come across the stage and share their stories. And I remember having this feeling, man, if they can change their life and they can go through the fire and the challenges and they can do this, then so can I. If they can do it, so can I. And I realized at that moment that I was playing too small. And I walked out and I called Summer and I said, listen, we're playing too small and we have to dream bigger. We have to dream bigger faster. We've been dabbling with our business and nobody has dabbled their way to greatness before. And so we decided to go all in, and we did. And you know what? We started to have more and more success. Now, at this moment in time, It was 1 year later. You know, I want to preface this. A year prior, Summer and I sat down on New Year's Day with our kids, 4 kids at the time. We still didn't have any money. We didn't have anything other than a dream. And we sat down and we said, let's build a dream board, right? If we'd heard this concept, if you put all your stuff on a vision board and you look at it all year long, that it'll materialize. And, I was just starting to get into personal development, personal growth. I was falling in love with the constant pursuit of leadership. And so we did our dream board as a family. And I'll never forget it. We run around the table and we went to, the girls, and you can see the size of the girls there. There's Sienna, our littlest one right there. Or is that Tuscany? That's Tuscany right there, and Sienna and Savannah. So we go around the room and we're like, what would you love to see happen this year? What do you want? And they all decided that they wanted to go see Cinderella's house, right, at Disneyland. They wanted to see the castle. They wanted to go see her castle. So we got Disneyland Castle. We put it on the dream board. Came to me and Summer says, what do you want? I said, man, I'd love to have a Hummer. And, these Hummers were so cool, and I'd love to have a Hummer. And not only that, I'd love to have a boat. We lived right there on the Utah Lake in Saratoga Springs, Utah. And I'm like, man, I would love to actually have my own boat. And then so we put pictures of that up there, and we put pictures of a houseboat in Lake Powell, which was something that I've always wanted. And Summer comes to her and she says, what do you want? She says, well, I want to build my own house. We've never ever built our own house, and I want to design it. I want to be involved in drawing up the plans. I want to design every single detail of it. And I want it to be this Italian themed home. I want it to have a courtyard in the middle of the house. I want to have a beautiful view that overlooks the lake. Now, a lot of that seemed far-fetched, guys. We had just had our cars repoed. We're driving around in a green bug that everybody hates, that we are renting. And I had not broken my knee once, but twice, and we're juggling to keep our electric and our gas on. So fast forward approximately a year later, this picture was taken. This picture was taken in front of Summer's dream home that she built. It's the Italian home that she had envisioned. That's the Hummer that I had wrapped with that particular company I was a part of. This was a photo shoot for a magazine article that they did about our family. It was the first time that we were ever in print. We were starting to get to the point where we could almost survive or pay our bills now on a full-time basis in network marketing. And I say that because you get these months where you're like, oh my gosh, we've arrived. You have this great month. And then the next month you go backwards 50, 60%. So you get to that point where you're not making enough money, not making any money. Then you're starting to make some money. Then you start to make pretty good money, but it's still up and down, right? And so we're starting to make pretty good money. And they invited us to be a part of this Success from Home magazine that was put out. And this was a big deal for us. I was like, this is, we're kind of on our way. And that all happened in a matter of 12, maybe 18 months at most. I'm terrible with dates. My wife would tell you that. She'll be over here and be like, no, that was exactly 14 months, but I'm terrible with dates. But what I do remember is that we made a decision, and we managed that decision every single day. Why? Because we wanted it more than anything in the world. And we were willing to do whatever it took to be able to accomplish that goal. Guys, I went out in the evenings. Why did I go out on the weekends? Because that's when people are home. That's when they're relaxed. That's when their guard was down. And I knew that I'd have an opportunity to be able to go and speak with them about my opportunity. So I took the weekends on when everybody else took the weekends off. I looked at it and said, hey, there's 2 days every weekend. There's 52 days, 52 weekends. That's 104 days. And if I can go and share the plan on the weekends, guess what? That puts me ahead of my competition. That allows me to be able to achieve the goals that I want, right? Share the plan, show the plan, show the plan, show the plan, over and over and over again. We started traveling together as a family. We started going on the road. We started taking the kids with us everywhere that we went. We would take them on a road trip. I would do what's called executive interviews, where I'd sit in a hotel lobby and I would just, one after another, I'd come into a city. The leaders of that particular city would set up the appointments for me before I would get there. And I would arrive, and they would have a schedule for me for a couple of days. My kids would stay in hotels. Summer would kind of help and manage, and the kids would be in the lobby. Some of the hotel lobbies actually got to know our families. In one particular hotel, our kids were helping them put up their Christmas decorations while I was doing executive appointments. And so what does that mean? What I would do is we would run ads in the newspaper. People would respond to it. We would book appointments. I would come in and I would share the plan over and over, 8, 9, 10 times a day. You know how I learned how to give presentations? Joe is very kind, and he gave me some compliments the other day about how I present and learning how to present the new 2.0 plan. Do you know how I learned how to present, you guys? By doing it over and over and over and over. Thousands of times I gave presentations in hotel lobbies across this country. And you know what? As I learned it, I started to gain more credibility. And with that credibility, I started getting invited to do the weekly meetings and the weekly opportunities, webinar calls that they were doing, and eventually webinars. We didn't do webinars back then. We did our weekly meeting in the city, and we did an opportunity call. But that all came from just going out and doing it and taking our kids out on the road. You know, we started to achieve more and newer milestones. We started to get some of the, back in the day, they used to give you these big checks. I don't know if the big checks are a thing anymore, Joe, Bryan. I don't know if anybody does that or you're even allowed to do that anymore, but we get these big checks, you know? And I just thought we were so cool. You can see here in the $6,000 bonus check. I'm so excited because we hit this milestone that we earned the $6,000 check. And so we're slowly coming up. We're learning the skills. It's all in the doing. We're just learning and emulating and watching, and I would go to a training. I take my success journal with me. I've still got tons of success journals right here. I would take my success journal. I would take notes, but I wouldn't just take notes. Some of you are taking notes right now. Some of you are just in the kitchen cleaning and wiping. Some of you are working out at all. But the smart ones, I'm telling you, you're sitting there taking notes, but you're taking notes as if you're going to have to teach this information. Because see, I would take notes, but I would take notes in a way where I knew that I was going to take this information and I was going to go turn it into a training and teach my team. And so through that process, I started learning. And as we started learning, we would go out and we would do presentations. And you know what? Listen, I told you we would take our kids and our family with us everywhere we would go. This is in front of an audience. Did about a 40-minute talk. This is legend on my chest. And I thought, you know what? Strap them on. I'm going to take them out there with me. Why? Because that's who we are. I don't do this business I don't do this business. A lot of people do network marketing at the expense of their family. They go on the road for extended periods of time. They're never home. They have terrible relationships with their spouses. They don't see their children, and they go out on the stage and say, oh, it's all about, I do this for my family. I do this for the freedom. And the reality is they have absolutely no freedom. I don't do this at the expense of my family. I do it for my family. So we made a decision that we were going to take our family with us on the road, travel together. My wife and I made a commitment that, and we've only had to break this a few times, where we would never go anywhere for more than 3 nights without each other. She can't always travel with me because of the kids and what's going on, but I'll never go somewhere more than 3 nights without each other. And we try to uphold that. And if anybody knows us, Summer and I go everywhere together. We do that's just who we are and what we do. And so on this particular event, I come out on stage and I'm doing my talk and I've got my baby on, got legend right here on my chest. And all of a sudden, about 10 minutes in, the whole crowd goes, oh. He had fallen asleep because I was pacing back and forth as I was giving my talk. But I want you guys to see this is the process. That's what I want you to get out of this. I want you to understand that it's the process. We had to go through the fire. As social media started to come alive, we realized that social media was a great tool. So you know what we did? We decided that we were going to define our brand. What's your brand? Your brand is what do they think about you, right? If they arrive on your page, what's the first impression that they're going to get? For us, we sat down and we talked about this. We said, you know what? We're going to build a brand on purpose. We're going to network on purpose. We're going to build a brand on purpose. And so, you know what? We decided that what was most important to us was to lead with family values and to put our family forward. Why? Because it's why we do what we do. And so we started defining our brand. A short time after this, in one of the articles in a magazine somewhere, they called us the first family of network marketing because we were so consistent about leading with family values. If you guys follow me, where am I at on Sunday night? Sunday dinners at my house. They're a huge deal. I believe that every problem in the world today can be solved around the dinner table. And it's a priority in my life. It's a priority in my business. It's our family is what is important. And so that was our brand that we decided to go out and put out there on purpose. Summer and I used to go for these walks when we were early in our marriage, somewhere around 2000. We had just bought our first home. We felt very accomplished to be able and blessed to be able to have this home, and so we would go for walks every day. And as we were going for walks, there were always these red gates, and so they started to develop this area, and inside of these red gates was a neighborhood called Circle G's, and at the time, Circle G's were all the custom homes, and these were orange groves. And so we would kind of sneak into the red gates, and we would go for walks, and we would dream. We would dream about, one day, and I would say to her, one day I'm going to build you a home behind these red gates. Well, we moved off to Utah. Life took us in a lot of different directions. We had our ups, we had our downs. We had built a beautiful dream home there. Things were great. But just like anything else, you don't always stay at the top of the mountain, right? You come up and you come down, and things change, and there's circumstances that happen. As an entrepreneur, we live by the sword and we die by the sword. And so we had some ups and downs along the way. My mother got sick, and ultimately we ended up moving back to Arizona. Well, we moved back to Arizona, but the great thing was when we moved back, we moved behind these red gates 15 years later. I made a promise to Summer 15 years prior that one day we would live behind those red gates. And we moved behind those red gates. Having a dream is so important in everything that you do. I have not always been a comfortable speaker. And any time that I still go in front of an audience, my mouth gets dry, I get nervous. I usually will lose sleep the night before. The first time that I was invited to speak was in Provo, Utah. I was invited to be the speaker for the main weekly meeting, and the big leader in town called me and asked if I could fill in for him. I felt honored. I tried to come up in my mind that my first instinct was to come up with an excuse why I couldn't do it. But you know what? I wasn't going to do that. I understand that sometimes we grow the most when we step outside of our comfort zone. And so I accepted the challenge. I showed up at the event that night. I was terrified. There was about 75 or so people there. And I went up and I started the meeting, and I had Summer sit in the front row in the front seat with a glass of water, because I knew that my mouth would get so dry because I would be so nervous that I could casually walk over and grab the water like nobody would notice. So like clockwork, first couple of minutes in, my mouth feels like I have cotton in it. And so I try to go over and casually grab the water. And as I go to take a drink, my hands are shaking so much, I spill the water all over myself. But you know what? I did it. And when I was done, people said that I did a good job. And I kept doing it, and I kept doing it, and I kept doing it. And one of the most important skills that you could ever learn if you truly want to be a successful network marketer and make it to the top is learning how to present the plan. First and foremost, just being able to do it on a Zoom. In the old days, it was just a little flip chart presentation. I would go meet people at coffee shops, hotel lobbies, everywhere, and I just share the plan, show the plan, share the plan over and over again. As many people as I can. Now it's Zooms, right? The most important skill that you can learn is to be able to give your own presentations. Why? Because there's nothing more powerful than that belly to belly, even if it's a Zoom, you're at least one-on-one, that connection, the ability to be able to connect, to be able to ask questions, to be able to listen, to be able to relate, to be able to build the relationship that Bryan talked about. It's so crucial. And from there, you start learning to give the presentation, and eventually you end up on a stage. And guess what? That's a whole new fear that you have to conquer. I remember after a couple of years, I was invited to speak at the A&MP. This was a huge deal for me. It's probably right around 2016. Guys, I was terrified. I think the event was on a Saturday that I had to speak. I didn't sleep from probably Tuesday to Friday because I was so afraid to walk up on this stage. All of my peers in the industry that I don't even know, many of them are top leaders from all these different companies. And who am I to go up there and speak to them? But you know what? I did it. I went up there and I shared my story, and I shared what I'd learned up to this point. And it's funny because I look at this now and I think, my gosh, I've learned so much since this point. We never stop learning. We never stop growing. We never stop developing. We never stop evolving. I mean, I'm still learning and growing every single day. I still make mistakes. I learn from those mistakes. Hopefully we learn from those mistakes and we become better, right? We fail forward. You know, the other day I said that if I ever win, I release my book. You know, if I had to, one of the book titles might be I fell 7 times, but I got up 8. I just keep swinging for the fence. You know, I haven't been in the same company. We've made moves. I've had companies that have failed me. I've never failed at network marketing, but companies have failed me multiple times. And so we've had to pivot. We've had to adjust. We've had to move. We've had our ups. We've had our downs along the way, but we just kept going. Found myself at Eric Worre's house in Las Vegas. This was one of my original mentors. You know, in 2005, that company that I was trying to get lucky in, right around 2005, 2006, you know who my upline was? This guy right here. He was before he became Eric Worre. But I had a chance to be able to go and listen to him speak, and he would teach the principles that he now has defined in GoPro about if I and would you. And so I learned those techniques and skills, and I would apply those techniques and those principles. I would go to his weekend trainings. I remember there was a weekend retreat down in Arizona. He came down here, and there's like 30 people in this little boardroom up in Scottsdale, and he was teaching the 8 steps to contacting and inviting long before GoPro was ever out. And he looked at me, and I was wearing this golf jacket. And he says, "Hey, golfer guy, what do you think?" Call me golfer guy. If any of you have seen my golf game, you know I'm not golfer guy, but that's what he used to call me. But eventually, we kept going along our journey, and I got a call one day from Eric and Marina, and we were invited to come to his home and spend time with him, and to be able to learn from him and other tremendous mentors in the industry. You see, what you see here today is me just standing on the shoulders of giants, from mentors that have poured into me over the last 2 decades. You know, I use and teach a lot of the principles that Eric has taught over the years, and he's continued to be a mentor to Summer and I, and I'm grateful for that. You know, it's led us to IX Global. Guys, the one thing that I have been searching for in this industry is to feel like I was home. I started off and I got a little emotional about it because, and I still do, because I feel like I have joined companies, I have built companies, I have launched companies, and I've poured my heart and soul into some of these companies that I've launched. And I feel like I've just been let down or taken advantage of. And I have prayed to be able to find a home and people that understand the value that we bring to the table, but also at the same time, I can learn from them and be in a positive environment to be able to co-create something together that is making a difference in the world. And I was so thankful when Bryan called me. You know, the interesting thing about that is we were with another company, and here's a lesson here. When Bryan called me, and I was the top earner at that time, from the outside looking in, things were amazing. But what people didn't realize is that particular company had not paid our commissions in 9 months. They owed us well into the 6 figures. And they kept telling us that they were going to get it to us and give us little small checks just to kind of keep us there. But they kept telling us that money was coming and the money was coming. And so Bryan reached out and he said, "Listen, I'm not trying to recruit you. I have something that I really want to share with you." And it was the licenses and the nodes. And it was right around the beginning when they were just getting started and introducing that particular product. And I believe, Bryan, I don't think he was trying to recruit me. He was just reaching out. And it was the relationship that we had built. Even though we didn't talk every day, I would watch his little dancing videos. If you've never seen Bryan dance before, he's actually a good little dancer. And he used to do these little dancing videos on Facebook. And my wife and I would watch his videos. And Joe and Bryan, we were in a company together, not in the same organizations, but we would see each other at events. And I still remember walking out of that event in the parking garage, Bryan. And I remember you were behind me and you stopped and just made such a warm approach and extended a hand and a friendship. And it was because of that when Bryan called me and said, "Hey, I have something worth taking a look at," that I was willing to listen. Such great wisdom that he shared about building relationships. Somebody said to me, I put something up in one of my mentoring groups the other day, and I said, it's funny how you'll approach someone about your business, a friend or a family member, and they say, "No, I'm not into those things, not interested." And then 6 months later, they call you and they say, "Hey, listen, are you open to taking a look at opportunities?" And it's funny how they're like, no to you. But then all of a sudden, somewhere along the way, they got bit by the bug and then they call you trying to recruit you into their deal, right? And so somebody responded and said, "Well, I want to know how you respond to that person when they call you." And I said, the way that I would respond is with love and tell them that I'm here to help them and support them And if there's tips that I can offer them, let me know, because I'm always going to be a friend and I'm always going to encourage and uplift, regardless if somebody's in my organization or not. I've had people that have left my IX Global business to go launch other businesses. And you know what? I told them I'm their biggest fan, because this is a small industry that we are in. It's a small industry. And one of the things that I'm most grateful for is the opportunity to be able to build it with my wife, to be able to co-create our dream life together. There's nothing more powerful than a spouse that encourages you and uplifts you and believes in you. I have my weaknesses, I have my flaws, I have my ups and downs, and I have my strengths. And my wife knows all of them. And I'm grateful that we've had an opportunity. She's kind of the quiet one. I'm always more out front. She always says, "Oh, I'm not a speaker." And then when she goes in front of everybody, like the whole crowd will be crying, because she has this amazing gift of being able to connect. And this industry, this business has taken me and us and our families around the world. We've traveled to countries that we never thought we would be in. Last year, we were in the French Riviera. We were in Italy. We were in Paris. I mean, places that I've always dreamed of. Why? Because of this business, because of this industry, because of IX Global. And I'm so grateful. Has it been easy? Heck no. There have been so many times. I always say, you're not a veteran in this industry until you say that you are not going to quit at least 5 or 6 times. Do you know how many times I swore I was never doing network marketing again? But here I am. Here's what I will tell you. It's not about the money. It's about who you become in the process and who you help along the way. The money is a byproduct of those two things. I'm going to say that again. Network marketing is not about the money. It is about who you become in the process and who you help along the way. The money is a byproduct of those two things. Let's break that down a little farther. Who you become in the process. What do I mean by that? I was not a speaker. Terrified to speak in front of a group. I was not a network marketer. I was embarrassed to admit that I was doing network marketing when I first started. I was not I had anxiety issues going to events. I didn't know how to do a presentation. I'd throw up on people and say way too much, trying to be this salesy salesperson. And when I first started, I couldn't keep anybody in the business, right? But through the process of doing, I became, and I'm still becoming. And along the way, as I started to learn, I started to be able to share what I was learning with others. What happens there? I'm starting to add value. Do you know where the checks come from? The income that you generate is in direct proportion to the value that you bring to the community, the value you bring to this company, the value you bring to your team. And I have learned that the more value that I can bring, not just even to the people that I personally enroll, not just to my team, but to the company, to the industry as a whole, the more that I add value, the more that I generate an income, the more freedom that I create for my family, the more that I get closer and closer to being able to live the dream life that I want to live. So you have to ask yourself, what do I need to do? Who do I need to become to be able to add more value? How can I add more value is a great question. How can you do it? By becoming more. Commit yourself to personal growth. Commit to being on the Tuesday calls. Commit to learning how to give a presentation. Quit relying on your upline to give your presentations. Come on, some of you guys have been in this industry for years and you're still relying on your upline to give a presentation. That's lazy. Learn to present the plan. How? Get on the Tuesday and Thursday call. Script it out. That's what I did when I was learning. I literally would listen, I would record it, I would write it out, and I'd rewind it, and I'd listen to the next line, and I'd write it out. And I learned how to present it. Why? Because he who holds the marker, or she, makes the most money. You know, the beautiful thing about network marketing, and I'll close with this thought, is when we shine bright with belief, people will come from miles to catch a glimpse. You see this picture here. The light started with Summer and I. You should imagine just this empty room here. And it's just Summer and I standing on stage with a dream, with no skills, electric and gas being shut off, driving around in a green bug, you know, and just lost everything. But slowly but surely, we started to learn, and our light started to shine brighter. And as our light started to shine brighter, slowly we were able to transfer that belief, that contagious enthusiasm to others. And then they started to shine. And as they started to shine brighter, guess what? It started to spread. And it didn't just spread in our state or our city. It didn't just spread in our state. It didn't just spread in our country. It eventually spread around the world. I'm telling you that what we have right now at IX Global, man, if I could take what I know about this industry and put it in your head, you would see what we have that is so special here. And it's beyond a product. It's the culture. It's the community. When culture and community aligns, momentum occurs. Joe will always do an amazing job of giving us competitive products. But what we have here is so special. People are craving it inside and out of this industry. And if you knew how big this opportunity is already and what it's going to be in 2024, if you knew the lives that were going to be changed, you would not be sitting on your hands right now. You would do everything in your power to raise your skill set and to be able to go and share this IX Global community, this incredible opportunity with the world. I promise you, it's not easy, but it's worth it. It's not easy, but it's absolutely worth it. And every single one of you has what you need inside of you. You have exactly what you need inside of you to go create your dream life. And so with that, I want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with me today to share a little of our story with you. And with that, I'm not sure who I'm taking it back to. So I think we may be closing up today. I don't know if we have any final thoughts coming from any of the other speakers, but I want to say thank you to the other speakers today for an amazing job.